from the NewsChannel 5 network, this is Sportsline.
Hey there and welcome into Sportsline here on NewsChannel 5+. We are getting set for a big weekend coming up, specifically Saturday night. Titans and Patriots, 7:15 from Foxborough in the AFC divisional round. Of course, that's all set up by the Titans' victory in Kansas City over the weekend. They trailed 21-3 at the half, but then they run off 19 unanswered points in the second half to win. Marcus Mariota to Eric Decker for the game-winning touchdown. He throws a huge block late in the game to spring Derrick Henry as the Titans were able to run out the clock. A frustrating night for Chiefs fans, sort of a return to at least the glory day. I'm not going to go plural yet because it's just one postseason game, but it's been a long time since the Titans were even in the playoffs to celebrate a good regular season and to be a part of January football. A much longer time since the last time that they won a playoff game. They do it for the first time in 14 years last weekend, and now you have another playoff game coming up Saturday night in New England against the defending Super Bowl champions. Nobody is giving the Titans much of a chance. They are nearly a 2-touchdown underdog in this game, and when the odds came out today, the current lines on the 8 remaining teams to win the Super Bowl, the Patriots are the favorites at 2-1. That's not really a surprise. Several other teams are certainly in that contender threshold that you're talking about. The Eagles without Carson Wentz, about 15-1. The Jaguars are the second lowest team at 23-1. The Tennessee Titans are 80-1. So no one truly has a belief that they can beat the Patriots this weekend. Certainly not beat the Patriots and the Steelers. And most certainly not beat both of those teams and then go to the Super Bowl and win. It is a tough path, but it is a path in front of the Titans at this point. And let's face it, when you haven't been there in a long time, you have to enjoy every moment of the journey. And talking to several of the guys today, like Derek Morgan, for instance. This is a guy who's played his entire NFL career without getting to the playoffs until this past weekend. You think he cares much that somebody has him as an 80-1 underdog in the playoff or long shots? Or the fact that he's a 14-point dog going to New England? No. He's excited to have the opportunity to play another playoff game, to play January football again at this point in his career. Want to hear from you guys tonight. What did you think of the game on Saturday? At what point in the second half did you believe that the Titans had a shot to come back and win this game? And now what do you think about what's in front of them in New England? I thought a couple of things about the game. I thought that early on the Titans shot themselves in the foot over and over and over again. That's something we've seen kind of throughout this season, where they've just made mistakes that have cost them greatly at times. Kansas City looked like it was rolling early on, but to get some points before the half was big. I thought they got a break with the no fumble call on Mariota when he got crushed on the blitz by Derrick Johnson. But you go into halftime, and I think it was a similar feel to last year at Kansas City. And I know they relied on that in the locker room, that, hey, we've been here before. Last year we were down 17-7. Now it's 21-3, but we can come back. We can come back in this building and win this game. And they came out. They knew that points on the opening possession of the second half were going to be important. They go, I think, 91 yards in 15 plays. They end up scoring on that batted ball that Marcus Mariota threw, then caught himself and dove into the end zone for a touchdown. Just the kind of the tip of the iceberg of the things that Marcus Mariota can do for yourself. You never draw up a touchdown pass to himself, but he's just such an athletic guy that things like that can happen. So many quarterbacks, look, if you throw that ball, I mean, first off, you need some luck for it to come back in your general vicinity after getting batted down like that. But a lot of quarterbacks maybe wouldn't be able to catch it when it comes back their way, or if they do, they'd be awkward enough that they would fall down or, get tackled immediately. Mariota was able to essentially take that out of the air in stride, and in the same motion dive for the pylon to make sure he got in before he went out of bounds. That is the type of athlete that Marcus Mariota is, and the element that he brings to the table at that position. That was a huge moment in the game. It was on a third down. The touchdown is critical there. You don't feel the same about your chances if you get a field goal. So to get the touchdown was absolutely massive. Marcus Mariota makes that happen. And then, after forcing a 3-and-out, Adoree Jackson fumbles the punt. So now you're feeling like, uh-oh, here we go again with the Titans. But the defense gets another stop. They catch a break when Harrison Butker misses the field goal. It's still an 11-point game. And when they march down the field, and this was the moment for me. Again, I want to hear from you. At the moment you thought, okay, wow, these guys might be able to pull this thing off. The moment it flipped for me, from feeling like the Titans were getting controlled in the game to, wow, they're now in control, and by golly, they may have a really good shot to win this thing. That moment was early in the fourth quarter, second or third play, when Derrick Henry goes 35 yards for the touchdown. When he broke through that line and it looked like he was going to score, to me, that's when the game completely changed. And I think you felt it in the stadium. Arrowhead Stadium has seen the Chiefs struggle and blow things in the playoffs time and time again. That was their 6th consecutive home playoff loss, longest such streak in the NFL. So they'd seen it 5 times before, and when Derrick Henry crossed that goal line, that place and the 80,000 Chief fans there went silent because the impending doom, I think, started to creep in there. Meanwhile, the Titans, I think, felt like, we're absolutely in this thing. Get us another stop. The offense is going to come back and get the job done. And that's exactly what happened. The defense got a stop, and the offense drives down the field. Mariota 3 for 3 on third down conversions on that drive. That has been one of the Achilles heels to this offense throughout the course of the year. Second half on Saturday, the Titans went 7 for 7 on third downs until the final play of the game when they took a knee. Mariota brilliant on that drive. Splits in the game-winning touchdown pass to Eric Decker. And from there, defense gets another stop. Offense runs it out. What about the block from Mariota to free up Henry on the play that truly iced the game? He just does a little bit of everything for you. And that is one thing that I think was really evident, not just Saturday, but in Week 17 against Jacksonville, too, when the Titans needed that type of performance to ensure their spot in the playoffs. Look, people want to talk about the numbers and Marcus Mariota's regression this year, and he would be the first one to admit that this was not his best season. He will also not tell you of the injuries that I think he's battled through throughout much of it. But you can talk about numbers all you want. What matters is wins. And Marcus Mariota has now led this team to 10 wins this year while not playing necessarily his best football. And the other thing that stands out to me is with that touchdown pass to Eric Decker on Saturday, Marcus Mariota now leads the NFL this year with 5 game-winning drives in either the fourth quarter or overtime. 5 game-winning drives in the fourth quarter or overtime. That's clutch performance right there. And that doesn't even begin to tell you the full story of Mariota, like the Jacksonville game. When you're trying to run out the clock late, you need a big third down conversion, and he stiff arms Barry Church to the ground and picks it up. That wins you the football game right there. Those types of plays is what Marcus Mariota gives you. The touchdown to himself in Kansas City. It's crazy. Never happened before in the history of the NFL playoffs. It only happened once before in the history of the league. It's a crazy play. But he's the type of athlete that can make those plays happen. The block to free Henry. That's not even something you would want most quarterbacks attempting to do. But Marcus Mariota is the type of athlete, the type of tough guy, and the type of winner where you not just say, all right, Marcus, you can do it. You welcome it. Because you also see the reaction that happens on the sideline when his teammates see that type of play and see the result, and they mob him because they know the game is over. And they know their closer once again closed it out. And that's what Marcus Mariota has been this year. Has he been a statistical stat sheet stuffer, if you will? Has he put up the numerous 300-yard games or the 3 and 4 touchdown games. We haven't seen that from him this year. We've seen it before in his career, not this year. But you know what we have seen from Marcus Mariota is when the chips are down and everything's on the line and you need somebody to make a play, Marcus Mariota has made them this year. And that's why the Titans are in the playoffs, and that is why the Titans won in Kansas City Saturday. Because Marcus Mariota is their quarterback, and he made the plays. So now the question is, they go to New England. It is a different type of challenge. It is Bill Belichick and that defense and the schemes that they're going to throw at you. And it's arguably the greatest playoff quarterback in the history of the National Football League. Tom Brady, with 5 Super Bowl rings already, is a 2-time MVP. No matter what the supporting cast around him is, he continues to get the job done. Mariota in this offense is going to have to figure out how to match that this weekend. Can he do it? Those are the questions in front of Tennessee right now. 737-7767 is our number. Call us up tonight. Want to hear from you. Your perception of the win in Kansas City, what it means for this franchise now, and about this game on Saturday night in New England. The questions you have about the game, your expectations for the game now after watching this team the last couple of weeks. The other news item that we should get to and get your thoughts on as well, but there was talk that even after getting to the playoffs for the first time in 9 years, that Saturday might be a must-win game for Mike Mularkey. Titans, of course, won it. And then on Sunday, Amy Adams-Strunk, the controlling owner, came out and said, Mike Mularkey is our coach. I'm a staunch believer in him. I've been a strongest supporter of him ever since we hired him, and I believe in him. He will remain our coach moving forward. I think that pretty much shuts the door on that. What do you think about that decision from the franchise? And what do you think about the statement coming from ownership about Mike Mularkey in that regard? Phone lines are open. 737-7767 is the number. And let's begin tonight with James. James, you are first up. Welcome to Sportsline.
Yes, what? You there?
Yeah, go ahead, James.
Oh, okay. Yeah, so I was just going to talk about the, the referees and the announcers and stuff like that. They're against us all, against the Titans.
How on earth do you figure that, James?
What's that?
How are you coming to that conclusion?
Like the referees and the referees are always against, like when we're playing the games here in Nashville, they're just always, the referees just make bad calls, and
Well, yeah, but the NFL referees make bad calls for everybody. Why do you think they're specifically against the Titans?
Just the way. Just the way that they make the calls and stuff, and then like the announcers, they always say, well, they're going to kick, and the quarterback, or not quarterback, but the field goal, the kicker, he just he'll get up there and he'll kick, and they'll say something like, well, he's kicked the whole year, and then all of a sudden he doesn't kick right, but getting off of that subject, they just gotta, when they go to plan the next team that they're coming up against,
Patriots,
the Patriots, they just gotta, how they finished off the Kansas City game, that's the way that they need to finish this game off. And I'll just stop at that.
Yeah, thanks, James, for the call. That's absolutely right. The Titans want to build off of what they did in the second half against Kansas City, especially on the offensive side of the ball, where they cleaned up the mistakes. They did not turn the ball over. They were efficient. They ran the ball effectively. The offensive line, especially the interior part of the offensive line, that was their best half of the season. And that's the effort you're going to need in New England. You don't win titles, you don't advance in the playoffs by being at your best in week 3 or week 4. But you have to be at your best in the playoffs to win these types of games. And the Titans were in the second half. That was as good as they can play in the second half at Kansas City. If they play like that on Saturday night for the entire game for 60 minutes, they'll have a shot against the Patriots. That's a tough order, and this has been a team that has not been able to put together 60 minutes like that all season long. It's been a half here, a half there, and that's been good enough to get to the playoffs. But now you've gotten to the Final Eight. It's not going to be good enough from that point on. And by the way, I don't buy the refs are against us, and certainly the announcers are against us. It's just not there. Fans always think that for some reason, but if anything, from a refereeing standpoint, the Titans caught some breaks in the game on Saturday in Kansas City. Maybe not all year. There have been some calls, some costly calls that went against the Titans, and they were bad calls, but I don't think it's because there's like a conspiracy against the Titans or your team or whatever. They're just bad calls, and sometimes they hurt more than others. On Saturday, the bad calls actually benefited the Titans probably more than anything else. Back to the phones we go. Let's say hello to John. John, good evening. You're next up here on Sportsline.
How y'all doing?
Doing well.
Yeah, I think Titans got a good chance of winning that game if they put a lot of pressure on Tom Brady. I'm talking about bringing the safeties, the linebackers, and everything, and the kitchen sink. So, and leaving the punter on the sideline or in the locker room.
I think that is a huge part of this game, John, and we appreciate the call. They need to get pressure on Brady. Brady, like anybody else, is a quarterback who does not want to feel that pressure in his face. He wants to operate in a clean pocket. So can the Titans disrupt him and get after him? The problem you deal with the Patriots is if you bring a ton of pressure, and I expect the Titans to try to do that, if you bring a ton of pressure and you don't get there, you leave those talented guys like Rob Gronkowski and some of those other wide receivers in one-on-one situations, and that can be deadly for you. So you got to be careful. You got to pick your spots, but when you come, you've got to get there. And so that's going to be a huge key. And the other thing you said I think is really important. Brett Kern's been awesome this year, and when he's out on the field, he needs to be great. He needs to flip the field and make the Patriots go the length of the field when he gets out there. That said, the Titans need to be able to run the ball the way they did in the second half in Kansas City. They need to be able to control the clock, and they need to convert on third downs. We talked about how good they were in the second half in KC. They've got to be that good again, because what you cannot do is give extra possessions to Tom Brady and the Pats. You've got to stay on the field. You've got to convert. You keep the ball away from them. The best defense you can have is to not have Tom Brady and the Patriots offense on the field. Back to the phones we go. Let's say hello to William. William, good evening. You're next up here on Sportsline.
Okay. Yeah, they have to take this, the second half. They beat the Chiefs to New England. If they bleed the bread so much, then they have a chance to win. And, I hear a lot about Mularkey not coming back from all these media talking. And I'm glad he's back because everyone said, he is our coach. He won 9 games in 2 years. When was the last time Tennessee won 9 games? I remember was Mike Munchak.
Yeah, they won 9 games under Mike Munchak in 2011. But obviously the last time they were in the playoffs was 2008. And the last time they had multiple playoff bursts in a row, goes back even before that. So it's been a long time since they've had this level of consistency.
Yeah, but with Mike Mularkey in 2 years, they won 9 games this year. They won 9 games last year. They did not make it this year. They made it. And I see, the players and the coach, they're working together. So I think it's unfair for media to call somebody's job is in danger. It's not good. Let the owner make the decision. If there is something wrong, the owner will make the decision, not these people making money. And then sometimes they call, like nobody picked Tennessee to win. And they went and won. So their job should be in danger too, because they're lying.
Yeah, William, I appreciate the call, and I think those are good points. I mean, the bottom line to me is Mike Mularkey earned the chance to come back next year. Is he ultimately the coach that's going to win the Titans a Super Bowl? I don't know. We'll see. This team, I don't think right now is good enough to win one. But remember where they were a couple of years ago, and I think it's easy to forget that when you start winning and you want more and you want them to be a little bit prettier than what they're playing at right now. I get all that. But remember 2 years ago, they were not just ugly-looking games. They were terrible games. They were ugly to watch, and they were losing all of the games. Now they're ugly to watch sometimes, but they're winning 9 games a year, 10 games this year. That's a huge step in the right direction, and Mike Mularkey deserves a lot of credit. Him and John Robinson for changing this thing around. Marcus Mariota for growing up into the franchise quarterback that they believe that he can be. You know, there is credit to go around, but Mike Mularkey's been a big part of that. And to deny that fact, I think is just hiding your head in the sand as a fan. And sure, he deserves some criticism at times. And I think there have to be substantive talks in the offseason about this offense and the direction they want to go and what's best for Marcus Mariota to keep him healthy and to allow him to be the quarterback that they can believe he will be and can be for the foreseeable future, and to make sure he's on the field for 16 games and into playoffs every year. That needs to happen. I'm not denying that. But I think when you win 19 games in 2 years at a place that had won 5 total in the 2 previous years, I think you've earned the right to have that conversation yourself and see what corrective action you can take to see how you can grow this team from where you've already got it to the next level. And we'll see if Mike Mularkey can do that part of it, to go from 9 and 10 wins to 12 wins or 13 wins and maybe a bye or trying to get to the Super Bowl. We'll see if that can happen. I know some people have their doubts, but I think at this point he's at least earned the right to sort of chart the course to see if he can make that happen. All right, we got to take our first break. We will come back. Phone lines are lighting up, but we do have some lines open for you. 737-7767, the number. Back with more Sportsline right after this.